Welcome to The Explainer. You know, for over half a century, there's been one voice, one name that's practically defined Indian cinema. Today, we're going to unpack the incredible 55-year journey of a true giant, Amitabh Bachchan.
Oh, yeah, we all know the lines, right? The swagger, that larger-than-life presence. But the real story, the man behind the icon, trust me, it's way more dramatic, more chaotic, and ultimately way more inspiring than any movie he's ever starred in.
See, this isn't just your typical story about stardom. It's a story about survival. We're talking about incredible, sky-high success, followed by a fall so devastating it left him totally bankrupt with zero work. And then, one of the greatest comebacks in the history of entertainment. Seriously.
It just begs the question, right? How on earth did a guy who was once rejected for his voice become the voice of an entire industry? To really get it, you've got to understand the struggle. So let's dive in and go right back to the beginning.
Okay, Section 1. From rejection to superstar. And it's wild to think about now, but his career was almost over before it even got started. I'm not kidding. His early years weren't about success. They were about constant, and I mean constant failure. I mean, just look at this timeline. The start was absolutely brutal. The very voice that would make him famous, it got him rejected for a radio job. His first movie, a total commercial disaster. And get this, out of his first 11 films, 9 of them were flops. His career wasn't just stalling, it was basically dead in the water. And then came Zanjeer. This was a role that, by the way, all the big-name stars had already passed on. But for Bachchan, it was a lifeline. And it wasn't just a hit movie. No. It was the birth of a brand new kind of hero for a whole generation that was just simmering with frustration. All right, next up, the angry young man era. Because this raw, new character didn't just make him a star, it literally took over all of Indian cinema. Now, you have to understand what a huge cultural shift this was. The heroes of the day were all romantic, soft-spoken guys who followed the rules. And then Bachchan just crashes onto the scene as this intense, brooding rebel fighting a system everyone felt was corrupt. In the middle of all the social and political turmoil of 1970s India, he wasn't just a movie character. He was the voice of a generation's anger. And this whole persona was built on these powerhouse performances. These iconic lines from movies like Diwar, they weren't just dialogue. They became part of India's cultural DNA, something everyone knew. For the next 10 years, he was just unstoppable. He was a machine delivering hit after hit, completely owning the box office. He even played a character named Vijay in more than 20 movies. The name itself basically became a synonym for success. There was no debate. He was the undisputed king. But you know how these stories go. At the absolute peak of his fame, when it seemed like nothing could possibly go wrong, a series of total disasters threatened to bring it all crashing down. It was like a perfect storm of crises. First, a near-fatal accident on the set of Coolie. I mean, he was clinically dead for a few minutes. Then he dipped his toes into politics, which was a short and pretty disastrous career move. And then came the final nail in the coffin. His big, ambitious production company, ABCL, went completely bankrupt. So by the end of the 90s, think about this. The biggest star in the entire country was personally in debt for 90 crore rupees. He had no movie offers, his company was gone, and creditors were literally at his door. For pretty much anyone else, this would have been the end of the story. Period. So there he was, career in tatters, legacy on the line. And he makes 2 huge and honestly, really risky decisions that would spark one of the most unbelievable comebacks in the history of cinema. His comeback strategy was nothing short of a masterclass. In the year 2000, he made 2 brilliant plays at the exact same time. First, he did something no movie star did back then. He hosted a TV game show, Kaun Banega Crorepati. It became a massive cultural phenomenon, putting him in every single living room in the country. And at the same time, he comes back to the big screen in Mohabbatang, but this time as a mature, stern patriarch, a complete 180 from his action hero days. And this 2-pronged attack was an absolute masterstroke. KBC rebuilt his brand and, crucially, his finances, and it connected him with a whole new generation of fans. At the same time, Mohabbatans proved he could still pull in huge crowds at the box office. This wasn't just a revival, it launched a second act that you could argue became even more respected than his first. Okay, so let's talk about this new era. A legend reimagined. Because he didn't just make a comeback, he completely reinvented himself, cementing his legacy for a whole new generation.
You want to talk about critical acclaim? His second act brought him more than ever before. Just think about this. He's won the National Film Award for Best Actor 4 times. 3 of those, 3, came after his comeback. That's for these incredibly deep, challenging roles in films like Black, Pa, and Piku. Just amazing. And his staying power, it's just off the charts. I mean, in 2024, at 81 years old, he's in a pivotal role in the sci-fi blockbuster Kalki 2898 AD, a movie that grossed over 1,100 crore rupees worldwide. He is just as relevant today as he was 50 years ago. It's unbelievable. So, after this incredible 5-decade roller coaster ride, the rise, the fall, the resurrection, what's the big takeaway here? What does it all mean? Well, his story is about so much more than just being an actor. He's become a symbol of resilience. It's this powerful lesson that a career and, life itself, it isn't just one single sprint to the top. It's a marathon of adapting, of reinventing yourself, and more than anything, of just being resilient. He proves that failure is never, ever the final word. And that really leaves us with one final thought. After 55 years of constant evolution, what actually defines a superstar? Maybe it's not just about having the talent to get to the top, but having the humility and the sheer strength to climb all the way back up after hitting rock bottom.